Hey y'all, and welcome to Brawl. My name is Brian, and this Colorado father has had enough with the insanity of his local school district and Colorado as a whole. His speech will give you chills. Let's dive in.
My name is Dustin Gonzalez. I'm in Lakewood District 2. I'm not a politician. I'm not a loud voice on social media. I'm a father. A quiet one who goes to work, tries to do right by his family, and stays out of the spotlight. But now you're gonna remember my name. You'll remember it because I'm not just fighting for my daughter. I'm fighting to make sure that what happens to me, to my family, never happens to another parent in this district. My daughter changed her identity, not after years of discussion or family dialogue, not after joint input from both of her parents. No, this happened quickly, secretly, encouraged by a school-appointed therapist and a system that never thought to include me. And the school didn't inform me, they didn't include me, they didn't even ask me, they replaced me. By the time I found out, I was already labeled the problem. My objections weren't treated as concerns, they were treated as opposition. My voice was dismissed as hateful, my presence undermined. The therapist, the school, and eventually the court-appointed investigator all decided that because I would affirm something, I didn't deserve to parent my daughter equally anymore. They didn't accuse me of abuse, they didn't claim I'd caused harm. The only evidence against me was that I said I'm not ready to affirm this yet. That's it. And now I'm at risk of losing parenting time, of being erased from my daughter's life, not because I failed as a father, but because I dared to ask questions. And it started in your schools. Your systems made it possible. And your silence made it permanent. You gave my ex all the tools she needed to take our daughter from me, tools that she couldn't have forged on her own. You gave her the therapist, you gave her the ideological support, and you never once thought, shouldn't the father be involved too? I was supposed to have one opponent in this fight for my daughter, one voice with equal say, one person across the table who I would battle for influence, and that person was supposed to be my ex. But you gave her reinforcements. You gave her a system that cut me out of the picture. You handed her the tools to eliminate me from my daughter's life. And with your help, she's trying to erase me altogether. You replaced my voice, you stole my seat at the table, and you made decisions about my daughter without me. Mary Parker, Paula Reed, Aaron Kenworthy, Danielle Varda, and Michelle Applegate. Your names are etched into my memory. Not for who you are, but for your inaction cost me. And I'll make sure my name is etched in yours too. I don't care if you personally signed the policies, stayed silent while they passed, or simply chose not to know. You are all responsible. Fathers like me will remember. You may keep your seats this cycle. You may be the next, but I won't quit until each of you is replaced. And Paula Reed, you're in my district. I've heard you're not running again, and if that's true, good. But if you're planning something bigger, if you think higher office is your next move, then let me be crystal clear. I will be your opposition. At every campaign stop, on every ballot, in every debate, you've lost the right to lead. And I'll make sure voters know why. Don't think you can take a man's child from him and not reap a whirlwind. You don't get to raise our children for us, and if those who replace you try as you have, we'll replace them too. So parents of Jefferson County, get your kids out of Jefferson County now. You don't know how far this rock goes until it comes for you. And after you do, speak out, join me, and take back what's ours, the right to raise our kids.
Thank you.
I'll see you in October.
Thank you. Number 15.
I don't think I've ever gotten chills like I did with that one. You have pushed this man to the brink. Congratulations, liberals. Congratulations, Democrats. Congratulations, leftists. You have made a quiet man furious. And I don't blame him for 1 second. Y'all, if you are watching from the state of Colorado, I've had the pleasure of visiting it on 4 different occasions and drove through it personally. Dad drove it on the other one for 3 myself. One night I got to stay with someone who was actually in the same area, because this Lakewood district is on the western side of Denver right before you reach the Front Range. And I stayed with someone, a friend of the guys a friend of my roommates, and he had owned his own home. He had been around a while. He was a friend of the family. And one night I just asked him, because he looked really glum. And the night I was staying with him, I asked him, how could you be so morose in such a beautiful state? Because I had loved what I had seen. The mountains are beautiful, snow everywhere, great hiking, great water, great views. And the dude just looked at me and said, "You're a Republican, right?" I said, yes, sir. I was in college at the time. He said, the Democrats are going to ruin the state. And I couldn't believe it. I was simply too naive at the time. Well, now I do. And the news that I have heard coming out of that state has gotten worse and worse and worse. Apparently, there's already an attempt in a whole lot of their school districts to use underhanded tactics, use therapists against their parents, to use teachers against the students, and to allow these students these free spaces to come out as transgender, despite the fact that they're not even 10 years old. This is a piece of legislation that they're currently working on right now. It's something called the Kelly Loving Act, someone who was gunned down at the Club Q shooting. And this person was trans. And this is what the bill seeks to do. If passed, the Kelly Loving Act would add misgendering and dead naming as acts of discrimination under Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act and prohibits the acts in public places. In other words, if you were walking on the street and you accidentally say the wrong name to someone, if you get their pronouns wrong, you go to jail. You pay the fine. You are the one that's forced to apologize, not just to the person, but to society as a whole. This is what happens when woke busybodies with nothing better to do than to tell you exactly how to live your life and then tell another person how to live theirs and then police the interaction between the two. This is the grossest kind of tyranny, and this is something that I remember Democrats and liberals. I was young enough to remember this, but back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was the height of the Christian evangelical movement. And I do remember criticisms being lobbied against them, don't tell me how to live my life. Don't tell me what Jesus is going to do to me. Do not tell me what I am supposed to do. Where are those Democrats now? Where are they? I don't see them anymore. They've either moved to the right because they realized they made a mistake. Even people like Bill Maher, who was public enemy number one to evangelicals back during the 2000s, is now trying to tell Democrats, you've gone too far, reel it in, you've lost the plot. People like Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, people who have been sort of on the fringes, on that libertarian side of the spectrum, they have been running screaming to the conservative right because they've realized that these woke busybodies who have nothing better to do but to tell you how to live your life, they know that these people will not rest. They have ticked off Gen X and even elder millennials. And ultimately, these people have realized that they're not going to be left alone. They need to fight back. The people of Colorado that were in this public hearing were all yelling and shouting for Mr. Gonzalez. Good for them. Good for this dad. This dad deserves the opportunity to be a father to his child and help her and help his child in whatever way the child needs. But this is policing speech at its finest. And now it's gotten to the point where it's in your school systems. And those last words of his are the most powerful. Get your kids out. There is no safety net for them in the public school system anymore. I've been warning about this for a while, and many people on my side, my mom's side of the family, have been educators. And I'm quite interested in it myself. Because if you don't educate your children properly, someone else will. And now we've seen what happens, and our schools have been flooded with these terrible people as school board leaders. And worse, we have teachers that believe this nonsense. This is a problem, folks, and it's sweeping the nation in a different way than we've seen in the past. It's happening in our local areas. It's happening in rural districts, urban districts, and suburban districts like this one. Our children deserve better. And I don't blame this father for getting mad for a single instant. And I hope every single one of these board members apologizes for their terrible conduct and for allowing such a policy to destroy a family for a second time. This, ladies and gentlemen, is evil. And it's happening in our public schools. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.